Risk analysis and mitigation. A threat is newly discovered incident that has the potential to harm a system. Worms and viruses are categorized as threats because they could cause exposure to an automated attack. A vulnerability is weakness of an asset that can be exploited by attackers. A weakness in a firewall that lets hackers get into a computer network. Risk is defined as the potential for loss or damage when a threat exploits a vulnerability. Examples of risk include financial losses, loss of privacy, reputational damage, legal implications, and even loss of life. Risk equal threat multiple vulnerability. Risk analysis is an effort to identify vulnerabilities and their related threats, assess the potential cost of exploitation, and determine appropriate and cost-effective security controls. The following are 4 goals of risk analysis: identify the assets to protect, identify the assets' vulnerabilities and related threats, provide realistic information on the probability and impact to an organization of a risk's occurrence, determine the best way to handle the risk based on a cost-benefit analysis of different ways to manage the risk. Risk analysis methodologies are CISSP IT-Tutorial, Risk Management Guide for Information Technology Systems, Octave Allegro, ISO IEC 27005, Failure Modes and Effect Analysis, FMEA, Fault Tree Analysis, CISSP IT-Tutorial, Risk Management Guide for Information Technology Systems. Focus is on information technology threats and their relationship with information security risks. The CISSP IT-Tutorial risk assessment activities are as follows: system characterization, threat identification, vulnerability identification, control analysis, likelihood determination, impact analysis, risk determination, control recommendations, results documentation. Octave stands for Operationally Critical Threat, Asset, and Vulnerability Evaluation. Octave is a framework for identifying and managing information security risks created by the Carnegie Mellon University's Software Engineering Institute, SCI. Octave phases are: Phase 1, build enterprise-wide security requirements. Phase 2, identify infrastructure vulnerabilities. Phase 3, determine security risk management strategy. Octave Allegro is designed for an organization to assess information security risks but within time, staff, and resource constraints. Octave Allegro methodology consists of the following steps: 1. Establish risk measurement criteria. 2. Develop an information asset profile. 3. Identify information asset containers. 4. Identify areas of concern. 5. Identify threat scenarios. 6. Identify risks. 7. Analyze risks. 8. Select a mitigation approach. ISO IEC 27005-2008, Information Technology, Security Techniques, Information Security Risk Management, is an international standard for risk management practices within the context of an information security management system, ISMS. Failure Modes and Effect Analysis, FMEA, is a structured and systematic process to determine failures and the effects of those failures. Fault Tree Analysis is a top-down failure analysis approach that deductively analyzes failure events in a system. Risk analysis are 2 approaches: quantitative risk analysis and qualitative risk analysis. Quantitative risk analysis examines risks that can be measured numerically or monetarily. Quantitative risk analysis core concepts are: asset value, AV, exposure factor, F, single loss expectancy, SLE, annualized rate of occurrence, ARO, annual loss expectancy, ALE. Asset value, AV, is the value of an asset to an organization. Exposure factor, F, is the potential percentage of asset loss caused by an identified threat. Single loss expectancy, SLE, is the percentage loss of value to an asset expected from the realization of a risk. Annualized rate of occurrence, ARO, is the annualized rate of occurrence is the probability that a risk will occur within a year. Annual loss expectancy, ALE, is the percentage loss of value to an asset expected from the realization of risk over a year. Annualized rate of occurrence, RO, is the estimate of how often a given threat might occur annually. L is the expected risk factor of an annual threat event. The risk that remains after the implementation of countermeasures is known as the residual risk. Total risk equals threats times vulnerability times asset value, AV. Residual risk equals total risk minus security controls, also known as countermeasures. Qualitative risk analysis considers risks based on their likelihood, impact, and severity. There are 4 different ways an organization can treat risks: reduction, transfer, avoidance, or acceptance. Risk reduction is the process of reducing the risk to the point where it is acceptable to the organization. Risk transfer is when risk is legally assigned to a third party. Risk avoidance is when an organization chooses to deflect or terminate situations that cause a risk. Risk acceptance is the assumption of risk,